Hey, everybody, this is Larry Little.
And I'm Melissa Jackson.
And baby, it's cold outside. Let me tell you, here we are. What has happened?
Sweatshirts on or vest.
Here we go. We are in the Christmas season and headed straight in the face of winter.
And winter, it just gets so cold. It gets so cold. I'm glad we have Christmas. That makes it fun. But I'm just not a cold person.
No, me either. But hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you also.
Merry Christmas. I've always wanted, I would love to celebrate Christmas like when it's 90. Like I want to go.
The beach.
Oh, I would love it. I'd love to be down at the beach. I'd love to be somewhere like sand, sun. 90. Merry Christmas, everybody. I've got my swimsuit on. I've got my Hawaiian shirt. I got my flip-flops and my pina colada. And I am celebrating Christmas.
I like it.
Yeah, I would. I'd love that. That is a Merry Christmas. But I don't guess that's what we're talking about, huh?
We are talking about Christmas in that winter.
Okay.
It's cold, but I have a question for you.
All right, lay it on me.
So thinking about Christmas, what was your favorite Christmas gift that you got as a child? What would you say?
I'm tell you this. I'll start with this. I still have it.
You still have you still have the gift?
I have the gift.
Who gave it to you?
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus gave it to you.
Santa Claus
and you
brought
still
me the gift.
have it.
Yep, under my tree. It was an amazing gift, and I still so amazing that I still have it. I could go right now to my house. I could go get it, and I could bring it in here. Right?
Yeah. What was it?
All right. So back in the day, before now, guys, this is like before we had what we have now technologically, and all the things. Back in our day, when you had something that ran by itself or moved by itself, that was a stinking big deal back in the day. So I have this race car set. Now it's not just any race car set. I'm serious. The cars are I don't know how to describe them. They're what, about a foot long, maybe? I don't know. Is that too long? I don't know. Maybe 6 inches. Anyway, they're real cars, and you put this track together, and they piece together with they have these electric wires running through them, rails or something, and these cars would race. You could, and you have your remote control, and you race these cars around that track, and you could make it go up. You could build a little bridge thing. It was so much fun. I was so impressed with myself for having that, because you just didn't have that back in the day. Like that, just didn't know. And I was so impressed with it that I kept it all these years. And I still part of me right now would like to go get it and set it up.
Do you put it out at Christmas?
No, I should. It's a great idea. I could put it together, couldn't I?
Yeah.
I might do, although that's been a minute, and I don't know if it's still
this Christmas. Do it this Christmas.
Okay, so there's mine, the race car set. That's really cool. What about yours?
Okay, I have two that I remember. One when I was a little girl, and then one when I was older. But the first one was a little tiny upright piano.
Oh.
So, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was 2 feet by 2 feet or something like that. But it played. You could hit the keys and you could play it. And they had a little tiny stool, so you could sit on the stool. It was just so precious.
I love that.
I remember that. I remember opening it up. Yeah. I remember how I felt. I remember, what I was wearing. And I was little. I was a little girl. And so I don't have it.
You still don't have it? It would be so cool if you had it.
I had to throw it away probably years and years ago.
There you go.
But the other one is... This is interesting because this is still a thing, which is so funny because, my daughter has one of these now. So I remember for Christmas getting my first caboodle.
I have no idea what that is.
You don't know what a caboodle is?
Nope.
Your daughter didn't have a caboodle?
She might have, but I don't know what it is.
It has stood the test of time, which is so amazing.
What is a caboodle?
It is a plastic tackle box. It's a
tackle
plastic.
Box.
It's kind of like a tackle box. Speak your
Yeah.
language. It's kind of like a tackle box.
Got it.
But not really. And you put things in it. You put makeup. It's really like an overnight case, and you can put makeup in it, and that kind of thing.
Caboodle.
All
right.
Mm-hmm. They're still a thing.
I know tackle box. Don't know caboodle. Did you? Do you still have it?
I don't. I should have kept it. Oh, I should have kept it.
So don't you just kind of wonder, like when you talk about that, I'm thinking, who sat around and said, tell you what, let's do. Let's create this tackle box for girls.
They were brilliant.
What are we going to call it, though? What are we going to call it? Well, let's call it caboodle.
They were
Who came
brilliant.
up with caboodle?
They were brilliant. And, they're still in style, which is amazing. You should get one. You should get yourself one for Christmas. There you go.
Yeah, I need a caboodle. I don't even know how to caboodle. Where did they come up with that? Yeah, I need it.
So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today.
All right, get us going. Here we go.
want to talk about the real chill. The real chill that happens in relationships. When you get that place in a relationship where it's just kind of chilly. It's kind of, distant. What do you do about it? What does it look like? How do you make little shifts that can change the relationship, the dynamic? And so we want to talk about today. We have a question as we're getting going here.
All right.
And the question reflects that. So here it is. How do you thaw, I love how they put this, a relationship that has grown cold?
Interestingly, we're going to talk about that today. We're going to give you some shifts that'll help with that. But let's kind of shoot up to 30,000 feet. And here's my answer on this. I think I love your perspective. I think the first thing you notice when a relationship and you're trying to thaw a relationship, so how do I thaw it? You realize that I've no longer been intentional about this relationship. So the first thing you have to do to thaw it is to be intentional.
Sometimes I wonder if people are picking up on the cues from the other person. Do they get in that place where they begin to realize that person's not really talking to me as much, or, that person doesn't seem to, come by my space at work, or there's just not this connection.
Yep.
And so, they're not being intentional, but the person's picking up on cues from the other person.
Awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness that. So you can't thaw until you're aware.
Yeah.
I love
And
that.
what
So
does that look like? It might be that someone fails to include you in something. It might be that, someone, there's been a disconnect in the relationship. There's been some conflict that's been unresolved. There's been something that has been either on a level that pushed it into the cold zone, pushed it down in the freezer, so to speak, the chilly area. There's been something that's created that.
Well, before we get into this, and we're going to talk about how do you thaw, we're actually going to answer that specifically as we go through. There's a concern I have. I just want to create some clarity here before we move forward, because I just want to make sure we're good, because we're talking about this chill, and there's one relationship that you and I cannot afford to have chilled. We've got to make sure it's warm. We've got to make sure it's good, because if we don't have this relationship, we're in really trouble. You think Robin's okay, our producer? You think we're good?
It's important to
just
check.
Checking.
It's important to check.
A little chilly.
She actually likes the cold.
I know.
Not from us, but she likes
we're in deep
cold.
trouble if we don't have that relationship going.
Oh my goodness gracious alive. So here are some stats. We'll check Robin in her head here, but here's some stats. This is concerning couples. Okay. Couples wait an average of 6 years. They're in ongoing stress before they seek help. This blows my mind.
Yeah.
6 years.
6 years.
That majority average couples wait 6 years. So they're in trouble for 6 years before they seek help.
Someone said most people will not move until the pain point gets unbearable. So it may, for 6 years, they may isolate, they may make do, they may stagnate, but until it gets so painful, I'm not going to go get help. So perhaps that's where I think that's from the Gottman Institute. And I think there's something to that. Until it gets painful, maybe I'm just so lonely, painful maybe I'm angry, painful maybe I'm frustrated, whatever it is, that pain point has to get, I believe it has to be worth me going to get help. I have to be hurting so bad that it's worth me going to get help.
So here's another stat.
Yep.
70 to 75% of those who seek repair early on, that's within 2 years, is the defining mark of this strain, they report strong recovery. So the sooner that you address, you work through, you come to resolution, solution, get in a better place, 70 to 75% of those can recover.
It goes back to what you said a minute ago about awareness. We just, the sooner you're aware, the sooner you know what's going on, the greater chance you have of saving this relationship.
Here's something for teams. Think about work. Teams with low psychological safety, they underperform by up to 40%. That's a staggering 40%. That's high, very, very high. So you got to feel safe.
It's not surprising though. I mean, if you think about it, teams that don't, if you don't feel psychologically safe, if you don't feel like you can bring ideas, and if you don't feel that you can fail and get up and try again,
who you are, your personality. Yeah.
If you don't feel heard,
you're
not going to perform.
Yeah. So here's one last piece. It says a lack of communication and unmet expectations. Lack of communication and unmet expectations are the top cause of a drift in a relationship. So that can be friendship, that can be work relationship, whatever it may be. Communication and expectations are real important.
Well, they are, and here's the thing about that. When you don't communicate about your expectations, they're going to go unmet most of the time. So when you don't communicate about your expectations, you're setting yourself up for failure on the front end.
And expectations, those things can take place sometimes without you even realizing it. You get this expectation before you even realize. Sometimes you realize it when it's not being met.
And here's a slant on that. Not only is it important for me to communicate my expectations to you, it's just as important for you to say, you know what, I can't meet those, or I can meet those. So in other words, I've learned that many times I have to communicate. If someone has an unrealistic expectation on me, right, or for me, I have to communicate. I hear that, but I cannot meet that expectation, and be honest about that up front.
Do you go a step further and say, well, this is what I can do?
Absolutely. Great word. Okay. You go to the next step. But this is what I can choose to do. This is what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Okay.
Good word.
So some real life examples of the real chill, those relationship chills, are when there's an emotional drift. You're talking less, you're laughing less, you're defaulting to surface level conversations. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, the emotional drift is so subtle, but when I don't feel safe to truly be authentic, then I'm going to default to what I feel safe in. So it's about going to the safe place in a relationship. And if I don't have a connection with someone, and the same thing professionally, the surface, this is deadly for teams as well, because if I can't come to my peer or my leader and say, hey, I need to raise a flag, if I see something, if I can't do that, our teams are going to struggle, because I feel like that he's not going to hear me, or I feel like she's not going to validate, so I don't feel safe, whatever, she's not. And so it's deadly if we can't communicate those hard things. An emotional drift basically means I can no longer communicate things to you that are hard, and I can no longer communicate on and feel safe about. Sometimes it's just about sharing a laugh together. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just about making or bringing that connection to the relationship.
And I think an emotional drift, I think the check for that can be on both sides of the relationship. Obviously, if you're the one that's feeling it, it would be good to be aware and to say something about that. And that's important, and you need to do that. I think in a relationship, the other person can also check. There's that give and take where that person can check, and they might be aware that they're, drifting a little bit. Maybe they're not laughing as much, and they can ask the question, hey, is something going on?
I love that. I love that.
So it gives us opportunity for there to be, a checks and balance to that relationship on what might be taking place.
And one word of warning here: don't assume just because there's less talking that there's a problem. Our turtle friends, sometimes our camel friends in our vernacular, they need some space. They just need to feel safe being quiet.
Maybe they're overwhelmed. Maybe they're tired. Yeah. Maybe they're, some things are going on, they're processing.
Yeah. Give them space to do that.
But if we go back to communication, there's a good place to be able to talk about that, so that together in a relationship or a team, there can be a raised level of understanding.
Yep.
Yeah. Here's another real life unresolved conflict. A disagreement never gets addressed, and then it just kind of begins to fester.
I think two things here. One is a disagreement never gets addressed, so that we don't talk about it, or it's one-sided. And one person gets pounded, and the other person, the other person is verbal, but they don't listen. They don't allow for conversation. They don't have healthy ways to deal with. Conflict is essential for every healthy relationship. But it's got to be healthy conflict, because you have to have room to be unique. You have to have room to be different, to disagree, to have opinions, all of that. But if you don't talk about those differences, you don't work those, or if one person talks and the other person doesn't, it's not good. And it's a great sign that we got something going on here. The relationship's chilling.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get that imbalance in the relationship, and that's not a good place to hang. They're different seasons. So, different seasons bring different opportunities and different challenges in a relationship. As you're getting older, if you have kids, they're getting in a different age. You're in a different season of work. So there's so many different seasons that can take place. And if we can't weather through those, if we can't talk through those, if we can't have conversation and create an understanding and a validation of those different seasons, then it can create a chill.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think relationships that last are those that realize that there are seasons when we take a step back or when we have a space, but we're determined to go all the way back to our question at the first, to be intentional, to seek out that person, to be intentional about, hey, well, where are we? What do we need here? What do you need here right now? And I think when we get there, it helps us to identify what's going on with the other person, and then create a way to work, a shift, if you will.
Yeah. So let's talk about that, because I think we all understand a chill in a relationship. We've all been there. We can know what that looks like, and what's unique to the relationships that we share. But we want to share some shifts, because we go back to believe that little shifts can bring about change.
Yep, that's right.
Little shifts can actually bring more consistency than a big shift a lot of times. So let's talk about those. We've got several here that we want to dive into to challenge us. So as we're talking about this, our goal is that this challenges those that are listening to see, do you identify with one of these? And can you be aware? Can you be mindful to make some shifts? So here's the first one. To shift from something's wrong with us, maybe that mentality starts taking place, to we're just in a slower season that needs care. To shift from something's wrong with us. Yeah,
instead of saying, hey, we're broken, say, wait a minute.
This isn't working.
Maybe we're just in a slower season. And I've seen that so many times in relationships where we tend to default into all or none thinking. Something's wrong with us. We're not going to, instead of, wait a minute, things are slower. Let's figure this out. Let's ask, am I really feeling heard? Are you feeling heard? Let's kind of identify what's going on. Goes back to that stat, Melissa, that those couples that, and even in relationships, if you can get here instead of we're broken quicker, if you can identify it quicker, you have a greater chance of healing that relationship.
And I love what you're saying, because if we're not careful, we'll slip into, there was this situation and then there was this situation, and, I didn't really ever talk about this one, but then it starts compiling.
That's right.
And so you get into this, well, this just broken. But like you're saying, digest it a little bit, break it down, and really assess that. Here's the next shift. Shift from fixing problems, and I'm talking to lions.
Yep.
I'm talking to probably a lot of males like to fix things in general too.
Yeah, that's true.
Females like to fix it also in a different way. But shift from fixing problems to rebuilding safety. I really like this one. And we can say rebuilding safety, or we can just say rebuilding connection. So when we get into fixing problems and it's one-sided, it's just not going to work.
It's just not. And if you change if we can, as guys or whoever, lions, whatever we are, if we can change our thought process to, I've got to fix this problem, because really that gets interpreted as I've got to fix you. And that never goes well.
No.
And so let's back up and go, how do I rebuild that safety? How do I create Small gestures of connection, small gestures of humor, small gestures of touch, of gratitude, of appreciation. Just a hey, thank you for all you're doing. I found it means so much if we can get there and get out of the fix it and really. Nobody needs us to fix anything. What they need us to do is to change our behavior many times to create a better environment to have conversation, to connect, to touch.
Yeah.
And that it's hard. It takes patience. It takes realizing that, there's not one size fits all, and it takes time.
And it's like a math problem. The connection, you want to make positive connections to deal with those negative ones that they've had. And it is so important for us all to understand that connection is an ongoing work. It never stops.
Never.
Connection, nope. You always are working on that. You never reach this place where you can say, well, I've arrived.
Yep.
You have to keep working on it. Another shift is from a big apology. Maybe something's happened in your relationship and you feel like we got to have this big apology. So you shift from that to frequent small repairs.
Yeah, this is, I think, one of the most ineffective ways to heal a relationship is to make big apologies. It's just to I'm so sorry. I'm going to do everything better. I'm going to. And instead, do those small things. Actions speak louder than words. Bottom line, actions speak louder than words. Don't tell me what you're going to do. I mean, I don't need those big. I'll never do that again. I don't need any of that. Now. An apology is good, gratitude, but it's one piece.
Yeah, one piece of the puzzle.
It's just one little piece. That's
yeah,
right.
Small repairs, to me, it signifies that there's something going to be being done on an ongoing basis.
There you go.
That builds consistency and demonstrates that I really do care. I care more than I'm just sorry. I care enough to change my behavior and do something different.
To listen. To be present with you, to listen on our teams and at work and professionally as you're leading teams, to truly allow them to share and to truly focus on what they're saying and to truly listen validates them and gives them, I think, a reason to say, okay, I think this relationship is growing again.
Yeah. Here's another one. To shift from assuming I know to tell me more. That's a totally different stance from assuming that, I know what you're going through or to tell me more about what you're thinking. Tell me more about what you're feeling, what's going on.
One of my favorite ones. This is my favorite shift probably because I believe that, and I was just talking to a leadership team yesterday around this, how do you, when someone becomes defensive, they said, when you're trying to give feedback and someone becomes defensive and they're not hearing you and they're not receiving, what do you do? And I said, you get curious and ask questions. Help me to understand what did you hear me say? Or help me to understand where you're coming from. I just want to hear more. Help me to know what you're thinking. Help me to know why this is not working for you. Ask questions. Become the best question asker on the planet. That's my goal.
That's good.
Tell me more. Be curious.
That's so good. And as we finish up here and thinking about connection, the last shift is shift from waiting to feel ready to scheduling reconnections. So this is taking it to a whole new level. So instead of thinking I'm going to get there and I'm going to have time and the moment it's just going to happen and, I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting till that person is ready and in a different place and nice to me or receptive, or instead of doing that, shift to scheduling or a reconnection. So to me, that says I'm going to be intentional to make sure I'm creating action to truly make this happen and to be responsible for the reconnect. If we wait until we feel like repairing relationships, if we wait until we feel like we're ready, it'll be more than 6 years, as that stat said. It'll be never. You can't allow your feelings to drive your behavior in this, right? It's not going to feel good. It's going to be, I choose to do what I need to reconnect. I choose to, I'm going to schedule this. I'm going to work hard. It doesn't matter that it's basically, listen, if you're those lions and those task-driven personalities, camels even, and really all, don't wait till you feel like
listening. Don't wait till you feel like showing appreciation. No. Schedule it. Say, I'm going to do it, and then be accountable to do it. It's really, Melissa, it's a choice. It comes down to, are you willing to invest in a relationship? Are you not willing to invest in the relationship? It's a choice. It's not a feeling.
Well, all the camels are just, they're ecstatic about this scheduling reconnection.
And
they
put little
are
circles
just
and fill them in.
loving that. All right. So we challenge you guys, when you feel a chill in your relationship, be aware of some of these shifts. And as we shift.
Oh, Melissa, thank you. I know you're excited about this.
You have a new book.
Yeah, I have
I'm
a
noticing.
new book. I'm so excited about it. My son actually gave it to me for my birthday because he knows that we do this, and he knows that the most important part of our podcast is the dad joke. So
speaking your language.
Here's a dad joke from a dad.
Okay.
And I know you're excited about this, aren't you? You've been waiting. I know. And Robin, she is so excited. She just can't hardly take it. Here we go. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right.
I'm ready.
The dad joke. A group of bottoms is out for a hike. The smallest struggles to keep up. Sorry, it says. I'm a little behind.
He did not get that one approved. Robin is shaking her head. He did not work through the approval process.
I hope it makes it to the episode, you guys.
Oh, my goodness gracious. I love, it's always something.
I hope you laughed with us today. I hope you learned some things. I hope you remembered some things that will help you as you continue to make those little shifts that will truly make a difference in your relationships. We'll see you next time.
Little shifts that make a big difference. RelationShifts. Little shifts that make a big difference.